We've been walking out on procedure all day today. Before we get to your race, does the Speaker have the votes for the CR? Are we about to get this done?
I believe so. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we know that the Democrats have been talking for about a month now about wanting to see another government shutdown right before the midterms. So think about this. The Democrats would rather shut down the government for political purposes because they have no solution, they have no policy. They're just trying to oppose the president at every turn. And they would shut down our government again just for the sake of getting more votes.
Are they telling you that behind the scenes? Because we ask Democrats every day, and they tell us they remember how bad the last one was, and they don't want to shut it down.
Come on, man. Like, they're going to tell you what their real plans are.
So, so they are telling you.
Behind the scenes, this is what we're hearing. And so to get away from that kind of nonsense, let's just continue government funding until after the elections are over, and then we move from there.
Yeah.
Well, before we move to your election in particular, this budget reconciliation package, more than $90 billion of spending that is not offset by anything. Does that sit well with you?
Look, I think we have to do what we need to do for our military members right now, make sure that they have the funding that they need. Secondarily, I believe there's about $12 billion in funding in there for agriculture interests throughout the country. Florida is on that list. Back in February, Florida lost $3.5 billion worth of crops from the big Arctic freeze that moved through that early week of February. We lost $3.5 billion in crops. Florida is slated to receive some of those dollars. But it's also indicative of what's happened to Washington, D.C. There is no talking to the Democrats. They don't want to talk about anything constructive, so then reconciliation becomes a vehicle of use in order to get things done for the American people.
We saw analysis from Bloomberg Intelligence about the farmers specifically. This $11 billion is believed to go to, in many cases, particularly for older farmers, to pay off debt. Yeah. Do you think that we're going to have another round here for help for America's farmers if China doesn't start buying soybeans, or if we're not selling white corn across the border to the extent that we hope?
I don't think so, but I think it's important that we stabilize our farms here in the United States. In short, we don't want to be in a situation where we are importing products from overseas. We don't want to be in that position. So farming, agriculture is a bedrock foundation of our country. Any country, especially ours, we want to be able to feed our own people. And so what we're doing in Reconciliation 3.0 is to make sure that our farming community has the resources they need so we can still put American food on the table for the American people. And to be clear, this is to be something that the Democrats work with us on, and they refuse to.
So you want to make sure people are fed. People also want to guarantee that they're going to have access to water and access to things like power.
Yes.
Obviously an issue in Florida, specifically around data centers, the man you very well may be up against in November. Mr. Jolly has suggested that there should be a data center moratorium in the state of Florida like we're now seeing in New York. You are arguing for a different approach, basically bring your own power. Is that the happy medium? How do you guarantee that that will protect ratepayers ultimately if data center demand keeps moving higher?
Well, a couple things. One, what they did in New York makes no sense at all. It's one of the reasons why capital writ large, not just around AI, but in any other industry, is leaving New York because they have stupid regulatory policy that does not allow for capital to flourish. We don't want to see that happen in the state of Florida. Number two, we already have on the books Senate Bill 484. Governor DeSantis just signed it into law. In our state, utility rates for Floridians will not go up because of a hyperscale data center. The other thing that's a part of that bill, you have to get a consumptive use permit from our water management districts who are expressly tasked with protecting Florida's aquifers in order for a data center to be constructed to make sure that they contain water usage to protect Florida's fresh water resources into the future. What I want to see happen on these data centers, if they come to Florida, build a closed-looped filtration system on site. So whatever water they do take initially, they recycle and clean that water and keep it self-contained on their property. And then the last thing, and I think a lot of Floridians are looking at this, proximity. Listen, I don't want to see a data center outside of my front door. I know Floridians don't want to see one outside of their front door. So making sure that they're away from residential areas just makes common sense. That's the way you do this. What Mr. Jolly is saying is that he needs to go study and have a moratorium in place so he can go study it. The truth is, if you have a governor who knows economics, who knows how to look at a building schematic, you don't need a year-long moratorium. You can make real decisions in real time that are in the best interest of Floridians while also making sure that if you do build one of these centers, that it can bring real economic impact in a positive way to the state of Florida. So these moratoriums, they sound good politically, but that's because it's a political answer instead of mitigating the issues that do come along with hyperscale data centers.
If your bill became law, and this story is really important to our audience at Bloomberg, we talk about it, Congressman, every day. And as we've traveled the country this midterm cycle, we've really been surprised at the level of NIMBYism that we're hearing. The data center has become a true political issue. If your bill becomes law, do you embrace data center for job growth, for economic growth? Is this the future of our economy?
Well, that's the wrong way to look at it. You have to look at what companies are already doing. Every company on the planet, every industry on the planet is already embracing AI. It's happening right now. The question is, do we have enough bandwidth to support all the uses? And this is where, from a national security perspective, the Trump administration is very clear. The Chinese do not want us to build out the infrastructure because the Chinese want to build that infrastructure. So all the data on the face of this earth is warehoused in China. I don't trust the Chinese. I don't want American data over there. I would rather us have common sense approaches like protecting ratepayers and protecting water resources here in the United States so that we actually make sure we warehouse our data. The other piece is that compute power is going to continue to expand in the United States. And so if you're a small business and now you're having to pay more for compute power because we don't have the necessary infrastructure, who does that help? I'll do you one better. Any American who's using AI right now, and by the way, most Americans are, if you do in a Google search today, that's now being run by Google Gemini, not the old search engine. If you're on Netflix and they recommend a show to you, that's AI. If you're in the Amazon marketplace and they recommend a product to you, that's AI. And so AI is being used in ways that most people don't even see or understand. So it's already here. The question is, are we going to have the necessary infrastructure in order to manage the compute power that is going to continue to grow? And what we're already seeing when we have the access to compute power with AI, it actually is demonstrating some positive impacts in our economy that are helping companies stabilize their income statement, stabilize their balance sheets, stabilize costs for end users. And I think that's what people truly do want to see happen.
Well, and you mentioned that there already is law in the books in Florida under Governor DeSantis. I would imagine you would like to see that continue. When we consider your potential governorship, though, how should we expect it to differ from the administration of Ron DeSantis?
I mean, a couple of things. One, law and order is still going to be the standard like it has been under Governor DeSantis. Number two, we are going to have a limited government, low tax environment, low regulatory environment. We want to continue to have, frankly, the ecosystem where the Florida dream has been built upon. We're going to keep all that in place. Governor DeSantis has done a tremendous job leading our state. What comes next for the next governor is how do you balance the growth that has come to Florida with our environment? Making sure we maintain conservation areas, we protect our waterways, we finish Everglades restoration, we provide fresh water, have a plan for fresh water into the future, even though people are coming to Florida because we are quickly becoming a major economic power, not just in the United States, but in the world. So how do you balance that? That's going to be the question for Florida's next governor. It's not a matter of differences from Ron DeSantis. It's how do you build on the successes that he's already brought? And this is where my career is unique. I spent 17 years in the financial industry, 4 years in the State House. I chaired the Insurance and Banking Subcommittee in the Florida House. You want to talk property and casualty insurance? I don't need talking points from anybody. I know the subject matter because I chaired that committee and I spent time in the business world. So I know that subject matter. The next governor has to know how to make the regulatory changes to impact affordability in our state while also planning for the state's future growth based upon the same common sense conservative principles that's made Florida the envy of the other 49 states.
You're going to have a debate in the Republican primary?
Probably not. I mean, those guys are still in single digits.
Yeah.
And if they, we released polling today. Our internal numbers have us at 53. Another public poll came out, had us at 44, I think it was. We had one come out last week, had us at 48. These candidates, they're still in single digits. So at this point, the Republican primary is going to be decided in 28 days. Why would I elevate you when you couldn't elevate yourself?
Just quickly, after this primary is over, do you expect Ron DeSantis will endorse you? Do you think he'll campaign with you ahead of November?
Would love to have Governor DeSantis' endorsement and working with him and campaigning out there on the trail. I will tell you the thing I'm looking forward to is debating David Jolly. You were talking about debates. Those are the debates I'm looking forward to because then it's going to be about the contrast of vision for the future of our state. And I believe that Governor DeSantis completely agrees with us about the next steps for Florida. And so I look forward to having his endorsement and being out there on the campaign trail with him.